You're watching Stewart Spotlight Podcast live with your host, William Stewart Jr., with topics of everyday life, tune in every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streaming, Facebook and YouTube. Today's guest, Wendell Hargrove, a writer, actor, director, producer, a playwright. Sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode. And now, your host, William Stewart Jr.
Yes, that's right. Welcome to Stewart Spotlight Podcast Live. My name is William Stewart Jr. I am your host this evening. This week has went by so fast, and we're into April already. Wow, this month is flying. Today is Friday, April the 4th. I'm hoping everyone had a wonderful week and getting ready for the weekend. I have a wonderful guest on this evening to talk about playwrights. But before we get started, this is a new month. And you know what comes with the new month? This.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear viewers. Happy birthday to you.
Yes, that's right. On behalf of Stewart Spotlight Podcast, we want to wish you a happy birthday for the month of April. And if this is your anniversary, happy anniversary to you as well. We got another small little matter that we need to put in place. I need your help. Now you're asking me, how could I help you? I'm glad you asked me that. I need your help to do this.
I need your support. I need you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and make sure you turn on your notifications. So therefore, every time you hear this, you know that Stewart Spotlight Podcast is live.
That's right. Turn on your notification bell. So therefore, every time Stewart Spotlight Podcast is live, you'll get a notification on your devices, your phone, your laptop, your computer. And make sure you subscribe and share. Share among your family, friends, and neighbors. Let people know Stewart Spotlight is on the air. My guest today is a very interesting guest of mine who I've known for many years. He's a playwright. He's a writer, actor, director, and producer. So after this break, we're going to bring my guest on so we can discuss his life. We'll be right back after this commercial. Yep, that's right. Make sure you order your t-shirt. Go to Stewart Spotlight Podcast, get your t-shirt, hoodies, coffee mug, glass. Help a brother out. Support Stewart Spotlight Podcast. Today's guest, my guest today, Wendell Hargrove, a friend of mine. Without further ado, I'm not going to bring this. I'm not going to wait for people to wait and see what he got. We're going to wait. What am I trying to say? We're going to hear what Wendell have to say about playwright. Without further ado, let's bring on my guest this evening, Wendell Hargrove. Wendell! How are you?
I'm blessed, man. How are you?
I am doing just great. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to appear on Stewart Spotlight Podcast. How was your week so far?
Oh, it's been long. It's been long, but hey, we're making it through.
That's all that matters. As I stated before, for the viewers who are looking, I've been on Wendell for a long time, and we have some history together back in the days, since he's a playwright, and I did a show, or one, or two. But Wendell was in my production for for 7. Wendell was in my production for Love and the Family. And Wendell, I got a little small clip that that you played a part in my gospel play. Take a look at this.
You can ask your man.
I don't think so. Yeah, right. That's all we gonna do.
I'm gonna tell you something, honey, and please don't get upset with me.
What?
I am very disappointed in your father.
Why?
Because even I know to put away dangerous pets when company comes over.
Oh, please. That's so
Cause, honey, she ain't had no friends when she was growing up. I took them all.
Baby, you never took anything from me. Nothing. In fact, if anything, you were jealous.
Jealous of what?
Because what you see is what you can't have.
You right, honey. Because if I had it, I'd need penicillin to get rid of.
Oh, you know what? That's
That Jamie boy, Jamie was a mess.
Oh, every time I look at that, oh gosh, that was funny. But for Love and Family was written by Senuel Smith and myself, and I just had to show that little small clip of Wendell. So Wendell, once again, welcome to the show. So Wendell, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Wendell Hargrove, born and raised on the west side of Chicago. Come from a very prominent gospel family in the city of Chicago, the Hargroves.
Yes.
We are very, very large family.
Yes.
There were a lot of singers in the family, a lot of musicians, a lot of preachers.
Yes.
To which I was never one of those. I was never the lead singer. But God gave me a gift within the arts. And I'm just so happy that he showed me that type of favor and that type of gift to just really write.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, Wendell, you have 2 adult children, right?
I do. I have a son and a daughter. They're now 26 and 27. When you knew them, they were probably about 3 and 4.
Really small. Right.
Yeah.
So when did you really start writing? When did you know that you had the gift to write?
Well, I always felt that I was artistic, but it was when my mom enrolled us into Solar Crown Fine Arts Academy. This is back when Chicago had started turning elementary schools into fine art schools, where they started adding music, drama, dance, and art into the curriculum. So we were bused on the west side from our home. We were taken out of our district schools and bused all the way across the city to Crown. And there I enrolled because everybody got to choose one fine arts class. So I, growing up in a family of singers, I didn't want to, I was in the choir, but I wasn't, it's just, I found a passion in drama, and I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be an actor because the actors on TV, made so much money and they were so popular, and,
Right.
But that dream of mine soon became a non-reality because that's not what God had for me.
Okay.
And Mr. Charles Jones, God rest his soul, was the drama teacher there, and he took me under his wing and became my mentor. And Mr. Jones used to take me on auditions because he saw a lot of potential in me, and he'd take me on auditions, but it just really hurt that I was always being told that I was not good enough.
Wow.
And, you know, Mr. Jones he would always cast me in the lead roles. But he would always encourage me and to let me know not to allow people to tell me I wasn't good enough. I just wasn't what they were looking for.
So now at what age were you?
This was sixth grade. That's when
Okay.
when we went in. So this was sixth grade when we transferred to Crown.
Okay.
So from that, you know, I realized I did not want to be an actor because I started seeing things that actors were not seeing. I started seeing people in roles, and I started hearing things in my head and seeing conversations in my dreams. So I don't look at people as being crazy anymore, because when somebody's having a conversation with themselves, you know, I think maybe it's divine intervention. Now, I didn't talk to myself, but I saw things and I saw conversations with people, and I would begin to write these conversations down. This is what led me to writing skits.
Okay. Okay.
I was a big fan of the Carol Burnett show.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, I loved watching them create all of these different characters and personas and things. So I began to create that. And Mr. Jones allowed me to utilize my skits within the class, which led to me taking skits that I've written and turning them into plays. And that's how it all started.
So, you know, I'm a big fan of Carol Burnett because I used to like when she triggered her ego.
You know what? The fun fact about that, you know, that was a sign to her mother after every show to let her mother know that she was okay.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know
That's
that.
why she did that.
I didn't know that. Wow. Learned something new today. I thought it was just part of her closing statement when she's closing her show.
That was always to let mom know I'm okay.
Okay, well, many years went past. So now, how many playwrights have you written?
How many plays I've written?
Yes.
I'm on number 6 now.
Number 6.
I'm working on number 6 now. I have 5 staged now, registered with the Library of Congress. So I have 5 that are copywritten, and I'm working on my 6th one at this time.
Now, your very first one that you just knew that you were the bomb, was it very successful, or was it just?
Well, I didn't know that it was the bomb. I felt that it came from one of the skits that I did in grade school, and it was called The Funeral. And what happened is, years later, after I got in high school and was in drama, I just began to, I heard the song, and I'm not sure if it's the Mississippi Mass or the Wilmington, Delaware Mass Choir, but it was a song about the old lady who got put out of her house.
And the sons.
Well, it wasn't the son. It was
came by and picked her up.
Well, it wasn't the son, and it was a social worker that was driving by, and while she was sitting on the bus stop, that got her, and then took her and got her into housing.
Okay.
That's how because that was a dual song. I don't know if you knew that. It started out with the story, and then it ended when she got put out. But then they did a continuation of that song because it was so popular. And that's when the social worker came to play.
Maybe I'm thinking about a different song, because I'm thinking about a song where the son had put out, then the other son came, said, well, I don't have that
You're
much.
Thinking about Shirley Caesar's song.
That's it. That's the song I was thinking about. Okay, all right.
That's the song you're thinking about. It was Shirley Caesar's
right,
song.
Right, okay. Gotcha.
But this one was just about an old lady whose landlord put her out because she couldn't afford the rent.
Okay. So now, with the funeral, what led from there, from the funeral? Did you go into a different?
Because hearing this song, I tied it into the main character in the name of the play was 3 Days Till Heaven. I changed it from The Funeral to 3 Days Till Heaven. And the way it tied in was, there was this old lady, and the landlord, it took place where she was behind on her rent, and the landlord gave her 3 days to get out.
Okay.
He wasn't budging, you know, and it was all, but this play, it wasn't that he actually put her out, but God had given her a word that I will take care of you in the next 3 days.
Okay.
So the play really focused on faith
Okay.
and how strong it is to depend on the promises of God. So within 3 days, and it's funny because a lot of people, people anticipate what's going to happen, but nobody ever thought that within 3 days of this happening in this play that she was actually going to die. But the
Okay.
concept was she died in the 3 days, and she felt as she, we went into the spiritual realm, and her husband was coming back to get her so that she can go on to glory, but she wasn't ready.
Okay.
She didn't feel that she was ready. So the play takes her back to watch what happened and what she did in these people's lives to change them.
Wow.
So her assignment had been fulfilled. And at the end of the play, she was ready to go on and be with the Lord.
And it's so funny you brought that up because we had a magazine back in the day, which was called Spotlight on You. And I just pulled some of the samples out, and you were in one of our very first magazine back in October 2001. All in the Family. And Juanita Williams wrote this story about you in the magazine, in which it was very interesting. But then again, I found another story, which was September 2002, and on the cover was "The Bishops Are Coming," but inside it was 3 days to heaven. So we wrote a story about you back then. Do you recall that?
I do remember that. And the Bishops was coming is because one of the characters in the play, my cousin Mauro Murray, played the pastor, but he kept correcting people when they call him pastor. He tell them, "No, I'm bishop." So he created a. So that's what Juanita got that from.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Well,
because he was he was very humorous, and he brought a lot of comedy to it, but everybody began to understand, oh no, that's the bishop thing, so that's where that came from.
So now out of your playwrights, your plays were part of your history, your life story in these different stories or plays?
Yeah, you know what? Ironically, in every last one, God gives me a concept and I begin to see the dream. But as the story goes on, I begin to put things that have happened personally in my life and struggles and trials that we've had throughout our family. And I began to use those stories because those stories, my focus with my ensemble is to be inspirational. We don't want to be judgmental.
Right.
We don't want to cast type. We don't want to look at people and point fingers at anybody's specific sins. But what a lot of people in this world are doing, they're hurting and they need guidance. And some people just don't know where to go or even how to feel.
Right.
And there's so many people out here that are giving their own opinions
Right.
about, Christ and what you should and should not be doing. But we want to guide people through inspiration. You have to build your own personal relationship with God, and God will convict you of what you're doing that's wrong, not me. I'm not here to judge anybody. So my plays don't judge. What we do is we show you situations. And what I love about it, our audience talks back. When you do something, when you got one girl talking back to her mama, them old women in the audience, they be ready to run up on the stage. And like I told my cast members, when your audience talks to you, you're doing an awesome job. But if the audience is sitting there and not saying anything, there's a problem.
Wow.
So we want to inspire. We want to lead people to believe that they are important, but also to understand where they are in their lives and if their life with Christ is real or fantasy.
Okay. Now, you experienced 3 incidents, such as someone had they came to your play and they were sitting apart and they came together and spoke after the fact?
Those were sisters.
Those were
We did a
sisters.
play. God gave me a play called The Will Reading.
Mm.
And the real will reading dealt with family secrets. You know, we all, especially in the Black family, we got some secrets that we don't never talk about.
Right.
Yeah, it ain't never the time.
Right.
You know,
Right.
sibling rivalry and unforgiveness.
Right. Yes.
And those were the 3 points in that play. And at the end of this play, well, someone had saw the play prior, and they got together with their family, and there were 2 sisters that hadn't spoken over 20 years.
Wow.
And after this play was over, there was some commotion going on in the audience. Come to find out, these sisters that have not spoken in 20 years ran and hugged each other. They did not know the other was there, but when they found out, they ran and hugged each other. And the family informed me that they hadn't spoken, and they made up that night because of the conviction that God put in their hearts through this production.
Mm.
And it took me to another level, because here I am thinking that people are not going to like my play, but I'm going with what God told me to do. And all of a sudden, there's a healing.
Mm.
There's forgiveness there. There's I still get choked up when I think about them. Anytime I tell this story, I get choked up, because these 2 women let everything else go, and then come to find out it was a misunderstanding. So for 20 years of their lives, they were apart, sisters. But God brought it back together in his time. And I thank God that he used me.
Misunderstood and not communicating.
Yeah.
That's the key right there. But also, you had another incident that's someone spoke into your ear.
Yeah. So when, when we're young, I grew up in the church. We're young, we're going to go and we're going to sway. What do they say? Train up a child in the way he should go, because when he grows old, he will not depart. I departed temporarily. And so I was in Texas Southern University. I was away at school in Houston, way away from my family, and I couldn't wait to get away from my family, because we were holiness folk. We was under some strict guidelines and strict rules. You couldn't do this, couldn't do that. So when I got away, I did everything. But yet and still, I was still playing.
Okay.
I was singing with the Baptist Student Union and living off the collar of my singing family, and everybody knowing people, knowing the Hargroves and knowing of that. And I'm pretending, I'm faking the funk. But in this particular service, we were in our anniversary service, and there was a young lady there. She had finished ministering, and she started prophesying. And during this service, we were in the prayer service, and I can't wait. Now, I can't wait to get out, because we was going out after that. We just shouted, and we done been saved for a few minutes, few hours, but now it was time to go out to the club. So she would take it too long. But she started the altar call. And one of the things that she said, God said, there's somebody here, and this is it for you. This is your last night here on this earth. So you need to choose who you going to serve. And, we listen to that, we hear that, and, I'm saying, she ain't talking to me. So I'm just, but we all have that little guilt complex, what we think is a guilt complex, but it's that voice saying, go up there. But then it's that other voice on the other shoulder saying, she ain't talking to you. Don't go up there and embarrass yourself.
Right.
Then I start seeing all these people going up to the altar, and she's steady talking about it. Now I'm getting real agitated, because again, I'm ready to go out.
Right.
I'm ready to go out to the club. We're going to be late. We still got to go home and change. But something just kept egging me. Go up there. So, all of a sudden I started getting emotional, and tears started rolling, and I just started feeling guilty. And so I went up to the altar, And I walked up there and stood in the line with my eyes closed, just knowing that she was going to touch somebody else. But she came and she grabbed my wrist and she pulled me up. She said, "You come here." And she stood me over there and she did a quick prayer for everybody else and sent them to their seat. And then she came to me and she whispered in my ear. She said, "God says there is a calling on your life, but you have to choose who you're going to serve because your life is ready to end." She said, "This is it. You don't have another opportunity." And I'm like, okay, this lady crazy. Because we think, here I am, I'm 22. She just talking. I got my whole life ahead of me. But God convicted me. He began to convict me. He began to show me things. And one of the things, it's just coming back to my mind, one of the things he put into my spirit was that the things that you're doing, can you do it in front of your mother? And it made me think, because if I can't do it in front of I'm sitting up here questioning somebody talking about it. You talking about it ain't wrong. Who said it ain't wrong? I don't see that in the Bible. But can I do it in front of my mama and be comfortable in doing that? And I had to answer no. I had to honestly answer myself no with the things that I was doing.
Wow.
So I told her then, I said, I choose God because I don't want to die. And that night she prayed with me. And after she finished praying with me, she began to prophesy. She said, God said that you're going to, you're going to serve him and you're going to lead thousands of people to Christ. Says you're going to minister in ways you cannot imagine that you're going to minister. She said, you're going to minister to thousands of people. And she said specifically, there's going to be auditorium full of people. And I'm thinking growing up, everybody telling me I'm going to be a preacher. I was a little kid, in kindergarten, marching the other little kids down the street to the choir stand, which is the front porch steps. And I'm preaching. So, I would go to the corner store as a little boy and they called me preacher. Because I was always preaching, a little boy. But that's not what my calling was.
Right.
Because I sit up and I look at a lot of these preachers and they're hooping and, they got the, and they got the rhythm and all of that. And I can never do that. So I began to see, and I had an awakening one night during 3 Days to Heaven. That was a 950 seat auditorium. No, 840 seat auditorium. I'm sorry. 840 seat auditorium. It was the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie, Illinois.
Right.
We filled up 600 seats, just word of mouth. I didn't have an advertisement budget. I didn't have any of that radio play or any of that. I didn't know anything about this, but God used me and my family. And we filled up 600 seats, even had 2 busloads come from Milwaukee.
Wow.
And at that point, even though that was years later than when this lady told me this. See, all this has happened. I look at this as my Exodus story, 40 years. I can only say my disobedience had me in the wilderness. I'm 55 years old now. I was in the wilderness. But now God has led me. I'm on my way to the promised land. He's opening up doors for me. And I look back at that and I'm seeing hundreds and 300 and 400 and 500 people at my shows. I'm not out to make millions of dollars doing this. This is a ministry for me. And I'm going to utilize it for everything that it's worth.
I was just about to say that that's more of a ministry that was spoken to you, and you have seen it at an early age where you put the pen to the paper and start writing things. So, Wendell, hold that thought for one moment. We're going to take a little small break, and we're going to come back and talk about your next project that is coming out Mother's Day. All
right.
We'll be right back. Woo! Yes, welcome back to Stewart Spotlight Podcast. My name is William Stewart Jr., and I have my guest, Wendell Hargrove. Wendell, as we left off before we took the break, you have a gospel play coming out on Mother's Day. And I'm so fascinated about the title. The title is Who Stole the Church Money? So you're going to have to give us some history about that one now. Talk to me about this.
Well, I'm always when I 3 years ago when God gave me the okay to do this ensemble, I started out. Now, keep in mind, I want to definitely make sure I let everybody know I've had no professional training in acting, directing, producing. I'm not going to sit up and try to give no acclimates, if that's the right word. My accomplishments are strictly God sent. Everything that I've done is because God has given it to me. So for those that are, want to come in and say, well, he ain't doing it right, that's not how you do it. I'm not trying to do it the way man has produced and set it forth.
Amen.
I'm doing it the way God gave me.
Amen.
So when he gave me the okay to do this ensemble, I was doing the plays, but recently I went to the cast and I had taken them to a dinner theater. It was not, I saw a lot of things. It was an interesting concept, the gospel dinner theater that we saw.
Okay.
But I saw it and said, we can do a whole lot better than that. So I went to my ensemble. I said, look, I want to do a dinner theater. And the ones that saw it said, yeah. So God just instantly gave me May 10th. I had absolutely no idea that was the day before Mother's Day, the weekend of Mother's Day. But that's the date that he gave me. So somebody came to me and said, well, no, you shouldn't do it that weekend because people are making plans for their family and nobody's going to come. And I'm like, well, duh. I want them to make plans. I want this to be a part of that weekend. So now they can make a weekend out of it instead of just a day. So they were like, well, no, I don't think it's a good idea. You shouldn't do this. I said, okay, well, thank you very much for your input and your opinion, but I'm going to still stick with this day.
Right.
Lo and behold, to me, once I actually put this, well, God gave me that title. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to make it a comedy. So it's a comedy parody of a church board, and each one of these cast members are the head of an auxiliary at a church. And the audience that's coming, it is so ironic because the tickets went on sale and we were sold out in 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
And so again, I go back to saying I give not the glory. I give all the glory to God because I did what he told me to do.
So now the tickets went on sale in March?
The tickets went on sale in February.
And then 2 weeks after that, sold out.
February the 1st, and then the second going into the third week in February, the tickets were sold out. Wow. I still have people. We still had somebody just call probably about right before this aired. Somebody called asking if we had any more.
Wow.
And to add light to that, I have another church now just in preparation to sign a contract for us to come and do it for them as a fundraiser on June 22nd. So anybody that has missed out on this, they'll be able to come and see it on June 22nd.
And I was just about to ask, okay, are you going to have another show? But look how doors are being open for you.
Yeah. So they're hiring us to come and do it for a banquet that they are having. So, I'm just like, this is what God showed me. People are tired of the same old. You have a banquet, you got a choir singing, you got some people talking, and you got somebody preaching. Well, let's do something different. You're still going to get the word.
Right.
You're still going to get a message in it, but people are going to be entertained and they're going to enjoy it.
Now explain this to the audience, because this is not a particular stage show. This is
absolutely not.
This is an audience participation.
Yes. So every guest that will be coming in, when they get there, they're going to be greeted by our staff as if they were part of the new members class for this church. So all of this shenanigans will be taking place while the lady is trying to put on a new members class. So the members will get to see all the mess going on up in this church.
So now you're having a new membership where the audience is going to come and they're going to participate in a new membership orientation, and then they're going to hear what goes
And
on and see what
and
goes on. Wow.
And I'm telling you, if you look at the characters on that thing, oh, they some characters, boy.
I could imagine. Let me bring it back up. Okay, so wow. Okay, all right. So all of these young ladies, including that one guy in the back, I'm assuming he's the pastor because I see he's holding a Bible or something of that nature. So all of these
and don't
women,
forget the deacon with the red bottom hat.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right, that's going to be interesting. So maybe you. Okay, well, I'm not going to say that. Okay, I'm so happy for you, and I want to congratulate you on your sold out show. And is there anything you want to leave with the audience just to think about of what you went through in your life?
It is so ironic how God moves where we don't see. When the enemy has tried to take me out a number of times in my life. I was born with spinal meningitis, which is a debilitating disease. And as an infant, it was a death sentence, according to the doctors. And they wanted my mom just to let them go ahead and rid me of my life because they said she was too young. She was 19 when she had me. She was too young to have a baby that was going to be suffering. And then they said that I wouldn't live past the age of 5. Now, again, I'm 55 years old as of March 9th of this year. So one thing, God has delivered me and he has me here for a purpose. Then there was another situation when I turned 5 where I was supposed to be dying. I got hit by a car, went about 6 to 8 feet in the air and landed on my head. I still got the scar to prove it, but God brought me out of that. And then throughout the rest of my life, there's been some other health challenges and things that the enemy has literally tried to take me out. I now see that the work that I need to do is not completed. Because when it is, God is going to release me. But this time, I'm going home to be with him. I'm not out here playing in these streets no more. I've been so convicted of a lot of things in my life. And it's not, when you get to start pointing out things, people get to putting their opinions on it. It's not for anybody to know. They always saying, confess your sins to the church. No, you confess that you had sins, but anybody got to know what your sins were. But I've come out of a lot of things. I've come through a lot of dark places. I've come through a lot of dark things. And in the midst of all of my mess, God was there. I look back over my life and when we little, we hear the old saints talking about that. I look back over my life but to have experienced the things that I've experienced and then look at God's grace and mercy where I should have been gone, but he saw fit to protect me even in my disobedience. Where I didn't think, I ain't want nobody tell me nothing. But yet and still, God, in his ultimate glory, said, that's my son. I'm going to wait for him because I have a work for him. So he wasn't ready for me. He didn't give up on me. And I'm definitely now in the last half of my life, not going to give up on him.
Amen on that. Well, as I stated before, you're here on your calling to ministry through your work as a playwright. So keep on putting that pen to paper, keep those ideas flowing, and I pray that you much success. And before I let you go, I got another little small.
You ain't right. You just gonna torture me with Jamie, aren't you?
I'm sorry. I got another little small skit, a part that you played.
Look, before you do that though, let me just let the people know. Jamie's part in that play played a really significant role.
Yes.
And through the life choices that Jamie made, at the end of the play, Jamie gave his life to Christ.
Came back to Christ.
And it wasn't a small change. It was a drastic change that came suddenly.
Yes.
So the whole purpose of Jamie's character was, again, not to demean or degrade anybody,
right?
But to show that God can truly change your life. But he was very humorous. Oh, Jamie was a very funny character.
Well, if part of the play, as you stated, it had a lot of different parts to it, because the devil was trying to come to attack the pastor, throwing herself on her. The wife was rebuking the devil. Then you had the sister who just wanted to die because she was the Madonna of the whole family. Then you got the drunken brother who was just only want to wash cars. So it had a lot of different spin to the play. But look at this part right quick.
Honey, I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. I ain't going on mouth to mouth. I don't care what you say.
You always talking about what you don't do. What do you do then if you don't do?
You know what?
There you go again.
Who is that?
It's the police.
The police?
The police.
Oh, girl. Checkbook, girl, because it ain't mine, honey. I don't know what. Oh, girl, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know you just like put your hands on mine.
I'm sorry.
And you know what's funny? The whole checkbook thing, that was not in there.
I know. I'm sitting in the back. Well, I'm standing in the back watching everybody's reaction. I was like, where is Wendell coming with this checkbook from? This is not even in the play. And another part you ad-lib, you were sitting on the couch and you pulled out a can of spray. Said, where's all these bugs? I was like, where did this part come from? We didn't have this in the play.
They had roaches.
Right.
They had roaches.
Wendell Hargrove, thank you for coming on the show today. I pray for your success, the best of luck, and make sure when you make that $1 million, think about Stuart Spotlight.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my 1 million with your 1 million.
Okay, we gotta go.
We gonna take
we gotta go. You have a nice day, Wendell. I'll talk with you later.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Woo, jeez. Only Wendell. That's all I can say. Only Wendell. Oh gosh, that was funny. There was so many different parts I wanted to bring on, but I couldn't do it at this particular time. So, well, I hope you enjoyed Wendell Hargrove, and keep him lift up in your prayers, and his playwright, his talent, his gift. Let God continue to use and bless him in his ministry. Okay, next week's guest I have is Jackie Bell, Reverend Jackie Bell, and Deacon Eddie Bell. Reverend Jackie Bell and Deacon Eddie Bell. We're going to see what they have to talk about, because they are here to do the work of the Lord. So tune in for next week. As you know, I always have a Bible verse at the end of the show. Reverend Lee could not be with us today, but he'll be back with us next week. My verse of the week is Numbers 6 and 24. The Lord bless you and keep you. Remember that. The Lord bless you and keep you in Numbers 6 and 24. With that being said, I hope everyone will have a safe and wonderful weekend. Tune in next week. Thanks for watching, and God bless.